Apple is reportedly shifting gears on the Apple Vision Pro. Or is it? This is MacVoices. MacVoices is supported by Macstock Conference and Expo, coming to Crystal Lake, Illinois, July 12th, 13th, and 14th. Visit MacstockConferenceandExpo.com and use the discount code MacVoices to take $30 off your attendance. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, it's Tuesday night. That means it's MacVoices Live on YouTube at youtube.com/MacVoicesTV. We're here. A lot of our friends are in the chat room already. There are more coming, and we would love to have you join us either this week or next week or whenever, because we do this every Tuesday. So come on over, because the chat room usually has plenty of commentary on what we're talking about and also comments of their own and conversations of their own. So it's like two shows in one. We have a surprising amount of stuff to get through tonight that I doubt we'll get to all of it, but it's a lot of interesting stuff going on. But before that, we're going to find out who's here, and then we'll get to it. So I'm just going to do it as I always do. Top left of my screen, Mr. David Ginsburg. David, good to have you.
Good to be here. It's another good, fine Tuesday night. Glad to see our nice full panel. We're ready to have some good conversations here. Lots to talk about.
Yeah, we've been having full panels recently, and it's great because we get so many diverse opinions on some of the issues. Brian Flanigan-Arthurs has made it to the top right of my screen. He got here early tonight. Brian, good to have you as always.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
Marty Jencius has arrived. Marty and I talked earlier today, and we were fighting some bandwidth issues, but right now he looks crystal clear on my screen. Good to have you, Marty.
It's good to be crystal clear, and good to be here.
Jim Ray is starting to get into the background competition that seems to have taken over MacVoices Live. Jim, it's great to have you from whatever aquatic environment you're in.
Thank you. It's the aquarium of the Pacific in Long Beach.
Any particular, I guess, what's the exhibit or tank or whatever? Or just?
I just went through the pictures and looked for one that seemed like would be a good background, but I have plenty others if you want a different one.
No,
I think they're called fish.
You can have a big shark or a manta ray or...
Well, maybe mix them up for the next few weeks. So, and apparently we have an aquatic expert that I didn't know about, Mr. Webb Bixby. Thank you for identifying those mammals.
No off position on the Genius switch. You know that?
Yeah. It's going to be a good night.
Yeah. Good to be here, Chuck. Thank you.
Jeff Gamet is here. Speaking of no off on the Genius switch, or is that the abuse switch? I'm not sure which, Jeff, or do they go together?
Whatever was printed on the switch, it got rubbed off a long time ago, so I'm not sure what it's for.
Oh, I so badly want to respond to that, and then I'll just take this in a really bad direction.
No, bring it on. I'm ready.
No. I'm not sure. I'm not sure Eric Bolden can take it. He's already chuckling. Eric, good to have you.
Hi, everybody.
So Eric, what are you displaying tonight? It looks like it's only about half ripe.
Yeah, tonight we have an allium. It's not open yet. It's just there for, color.
Okay.
No birds. There's a tiny bit of water right in this section, but it's just hanging out.
Now, does that like really bloom, or does it just change color? It does.
No,
bloom.
it'll all change. The color at the top it'll be the same color all the way down, and then open flowers across the whole thing, sort of a globe.
I like this. We learn something about flowers and animals and butterflies and birds every week from Eric. Thank you, Eric. Don't know what I'm going to do with it, but it's interesting. And speaking of backgrounds, the king of backgrounds, he started this whole thing. Mr. Mark Fuccio is here. And Mark, tonight it looks like you're engaged in violence behind you.
Well, it's martial art. It's not my style, which is Shotokan karate, which is a more hard style. This is inspired by Aikido. Sort of the philosophical underpinning is sort of use your opponent's actions and attack against him. And I was inspired by a number of the business articles that we saw tonight. So I think the meaning will become a little bit clearer if we touch on those in our discussion. But again, thanks for the invite, and it's good to be back as always.
Yeah, it's good to have you. And I can guess on at least one of the articles that you're referencing. So it'll be interesting to see just how that part of the conversation goes. The first one up, though, I think this may have been happening almost as we were doing the show last week, that Apple announced that well, it depends on who you read. The article I just threw in is from 9 to 5 Mac, and it says that Apple halts work on Vision Pro, aims to release cheaper Vision headset next year. So, have they really stopped work on the Vision Pro, or is it just a matter of evolving their direction? I think this is interesting. I think there have been some people that have been very alarmist about it. Marty, you want to jump in right away, and I'm anxious to hear what you and Eric have to say about this.
This whole thing came from a article in the Information where they interviewed or got notice from one supplier of products, of components for the Apple Vision Pro, who was basically told, we're not going to renew the product that you are going to do it. That led to this whole sky is falling. The sky is falling. First, the articles were they're not doing Vision Pro 2. And then that got morphed into, because Mark Gurman came in with some information, and that got morphed into, well, they're going to do a Vision Pro Lite, and that'll come out sometime at the end of 2025. Nowhere is anybody citing any sources in here. So when you say Apple's going to do this, this isn't coming from Apple. It's coming from people who are speculating about what Apple's going to do. I don't think, given the components, and that, they've given a breakdown of what the components actually cost, but it's the matter of manufacturing and all of that. They're not going to get a second device under $2,500. Of course, here I go. I'm speculating. I have no evidence to share with that. But, people are like, just take away the googly eyes. And if we take away the googly eyes, then that'll cut a lot of cost out of it. Actually, it won't. In terms of the cost of the device and the cost of those components. So yeah, I've been following this pretty close with Eric, and we've had conversations about it on the podcast. But they're like middle school girls, One little rumor starts, and then it turns into a whole big story, and then a series of side stories.
Okay, first, any middle school girls that have a complaint about that characterization can contact Marty directly, please.
Yeah.
Keep me out of it. But yeah, I'm with you, Marty. I'm with you. Jeff, what do you think?
This is the usual thing that happens when a part supplier finds out that they aren't going to have a contract with Apple, or not as big a contract with Apple. Marty hit on all the stuff that's pertinent here. Here's the thing. A part supplier not providing whatever it is that they're providing to Apple does not mean that Apple is stopping production on a current product and is pivoting now to make something cheaper. What it means is that part supplier doesn't have a contract with Apple anymore. Apple uses multiple contractors for parts, and it could be that that's what's happened here. That just switched. Now, also, Apple has a track record. It's how they do it. They do this ramp up with production. Once a product is out, then they change their orders for parts. And we're in that window when that's going to happen. Also, Apple is not a company, because it's not how it works. for any of the companies. Apple's not a company that can or that does just on a dime start producing a new product. These are incredibly complex devices. So whatever Apple has in the pipeline, it's already in the pipeline. It's already in the works. And if there's a lower cost, a light version of the Vision headset coming out, then that was planned well before Vision Pro launched. So it's not like Apple is scrambling to come up with something new to take the place of Vision Pro. I have a real problem with articles that come out like this, or based on content like this, where it's just rampant speculation and it bounces around the echo chamber. There are so many sites that will cite something, and when you follow it back, eventually you will get back to where you started from, and it's like Marty's circular firing squad, where it just goes around and everything hits itself again. I am not putting any credence in this story until Apple announces that they have a new product coming out and they stop sales on the current one.
Eric, I want to get you in here as you and Marty do the Vision Profiles podcast, and you are our only two resident actual Vision Pro owners. Does it make sense, do you think, let's pretend for a second that this is the case, and I think Jeff and Marty have both made the case why we shouldn't pay attention to this, but wouldn't it make a certain amount of sense for Apple to, after gathering as much information as they have now from the street, to say, okay, we're going to start focusing our efforts in certain areas for a next version of the product?
Well, it makes sense, although as Jeff said, they probably had that planned out well ahead of this time. The other articles that had come out that they tried to kind of tie into this was your phone is somehow going to get integrated with the Apple Vision and all the brains will be on the phone, and the Vision Pro won't have anything there, and that's almost as insane. Obviously there will be development of something. That's always true of Apple. What it is, it's hard to say. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if the Pro version got pushed out a tiny bit, just because things are taking longer to develop right now everywhere. They're still doing that whole pushing it out worldwide. They're still bringing out the Apple Intelligence all over the place. We haven't even gotten the new operating system yet. So all of the speculation is really early. The other thing is, as we're watching, being able to control your iPhone screen from a Mac, being able to use your watch to unlock your computer. There's a lot of integration going on as well. And it wouldn't surprise me if some of the articles are misinterpreting integration of the phone and the Apple Vision, or the phone and the computer, as, the processing is going to happen elsewhere. I mean, the computers on the Apple Vision Pro are really busy, actively being used. So to add more features, reach out to a watch, reach out to a phone, reach out somewhere else. I don't think it's going to be removing brains. I think it's just going to be adding something.
Good point. Real good point. Mark?
Okay, so I was thinking here that a better way to maybe retitle this is Apple reprioritizes lower cost headset into 2025, because I think when it was initially launched, people were speculating that wouldn't come out until 2026. So that's some group of people updating rumors from other groups of people. On the other hand, I was thinking about if you think of the reality here, what part of what makes this thing so possible and powerful is the Vision Pro is based on the M2 processor, and in case these analysts haven't noticed, there's an extreme battle for the next generation of three nanometer process node technologies at TSM, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. Apple's certainly a big volume customer. NVIDIA is becoming an even bigger volume customer. You add on to that, Intel is fabbing Pentium chips through TSMC, as well as AMD is fabbing their GPU chips there. So there's just finite demand of how many wafers, how many chips are available through TSM. So typically as processes mature, costs go down. So it could be that Apple's doing a cost down version, to take as much cost out of it. And we know there's an elastic market. So, I think when we first saw it, introduced, I think on this very show, we discussed that maybe the next generation might come out at $2,000 or an $1,800 or maybe a $1,500 price point. So, I think this is just grist for substantiating that type of rumor. And maybe Apple figured with super high integration, they might be able to bring down the cost. But there have been stories recently about TSM increasing its wafer costs because they have way more demand than they have supply. So what happens in a phase like that is, well, let's test how strong the demand is by raising prices and see who disappears. And if not, we just fatten our own margins as a side effect. So, I think there's a lot of speculation here. As all the panelists before me have commented, there's really no news here. So, I think this is an a large language model AI that's trained on Apple news, hallucinating about an Apple news story.
So there's some conversation going on in our private chat, and I'm going to throw this out. And Jeff, I'm going to start with you because I know what you're going to say, and I'm going to fight you on it a little. Would it be a tragedy if we saw a lower price version of the Vision Pro or the Vision headset, unnamed since it's not a Pro, be tethered to your iPhone?
And the answer is yes, because now it's not a Vision platform anymore. Now it's an iPhone accessory. And Apple says, they've been very clear about this, Vision Pro is a new computing platform. If you offload any of the processing that's currently in the Vision Pro to an iPhone, you have created an iPhone accessory that has AR, VR features in it. That is not the Vision OS platform.
Even if the phone would be used as the CPU for the Vision
Absolutely,
Pro?
Even if. Okay, look at it this way. Apple makes a new Mac, but they offload all the processing to your iPhone. That's not a Mac. That's extra hardware for an iPhone.
Could be a Mac. I don't agree with that.
All right, so maybe that's not the best example, but I'm flying off. I'm just working from the cuff here. But for Vision Pro, once you take the processing out of Vision Pro and put it into an iPhone, it is no longer Vision Pro because it is now an accessory to an iPhone. It is not Vision OS platform.
I respect your platform argument. That's probably the best argument you could have made, because I'm sitting here comparing and because you shot it down so effectively, I was thinking about CarPlay and the iPhone. And, so is CarPlay an accessory to the iPhone? Is the iPhone an accessory for CarPlay? That's where my head was going. But your point about Vision OS and this being a platform, yeah, that's kind of hard to argue. It would be a good idea to move it off to even the CPU to a different device that would be required to use it. So.
Yeah, I mean, if we think about some of the audio products, from earbuds all the way, your Pro to the HomePod, they're all sort of analogous within a family. They have very different price, performance, and form factors. but they basically do the same thing. I think, taking the guts out of, I agree with Jeff, taking the guts of the processing out of, a new generation headset thingy that you wear. I think it will just, it may be a very popular device, but it certainly wouldn't be, all the spatial computing platform that it was so integral part of defining the brand when it was launched a year ago.
I
Jim?
don't understand that. We're just talking about an implementation detail. If it's got the Vision Pro APIs and runs Vision Pro software, then that's the platform. It might not be, okay, you can't run it separately at the same time. So, some certain limitations. But to me, the platform is defined by the APIs and what software runs on it. And if they made it so, it used the processor of the iPhone as a cost saving matter. Now I'm kind of skeptical that it would save enough money to be worthwhile. But if it did, and and then there's also issues with bandwidth and this and that. But assuming, technically it ran Vision Pro software, then who cares where, the platform is devices that run that software.
Dave, since this is pure speculation, I'm going to give you the last word, and then we'll move on.
Well, I'm just going to just say, Apple's big thing's been the iPhone for so many years, and Apple's been looking for the next best thing. So why would we want to intertwine or make this an iPhone type device, or have anything involving the iPhone other than what it does now, when they could bring it on a product, like a lower end Vision Pro, and have two different models. Maybe they can do something like that. I just don't see why this is going to be something that they're going to continue on with. That's really all my comment was on.
Okay. Hey, it's pure speculation,
Right. It's rumor, speculation.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really say much about it. I mean, it's a lot. You listen to Mark Gurman all the time. He's talking about what he thinks the future is, and he has his connections. But still, until you officially hear it from Apple, it's pure speculation, like you said.
Yeah.
Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices, or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.